This is called a high-low nozzle. And the way this works, if you're familiar with an X-Jet, the M5 X-Jet, same type of thing. You see on the end here, we can actually twist this nozzle to change our spray pattern from wider to narrower. And when we want to draw soap, we just push this forward. And when we want to go to high pressure, I'll pull it back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this forward, I'm going to squeeze the trigger, and I'm going to adjust my spray pattern. So you can see I go from a pretty narrow pattern up to a pretty wide pattern. I like to go with the narrower, about a 15-degree pattern or narrower. And I do that for one particular reason, because I get good soap coverage and I don't create cut marks when I'm washing. And what I mean by cut marks is when I'm working close, and you'll see when I go on the other side, I parked it close to the building on purpose. Most of the time when you go to a place to wash trucks, you'll have about this much space to wash. You won't have this big wide open space. So when I wash, I have to work backwards like this. And if I'm really with a real wide pattern, you actually have a big pressure differential. When going to the surface, if this is my spray pattern, if I'm going like this, you can see it's a much shorter distance to reach than this. This is a higher pressure at this end because the water has to travel farther than this end. So you actually create a line or a mark. If the truck was a little dirtier, I could show you, but I might be able to show you on one of these other ones. You all set? Yeah. It's going to work better when you put the lines in the chemical. Well, and you notice how I caught that. You still saw foam, but I've been doing this a long time, so I noticed the difference between when I'm really getting good chemical and when I'm not. And that's just an experience thing. Right back here. Oh. Now you see the difference?
Main thing about two-step is don't let your acid dry.
This is very strong, isn't it? Now you'll see, I'll actually spray over the windows. You got to be real careful if you do that, because you can, if it sits on too long, you can actually etch the windows. But what I'll do is I'll wait for him to get a little closer so he can neutralize it right away and apply right over it. So I'll try to avoid hitting him as much as I can until I know he gets close.
It's a good way to squirt your ball and get away with it.
So if you watch on this side after he soaks it, you'll see how he's actually going to work his way backwards rinsing. He works backwards for a very particular reason. One, the wind's blowing that way, but two, if you work backwards, you'll actually get less cut marks into the surface of the paint or marks from the washing than if you go forward. When you go forward, you'll have a tendency to get line and line and line. If you look down the road, you'll see some trucks like that. So what I'm going to do is I have to readjust my spray pattern because it's really tight. By twisting it, I can readjust it. So.